Welcome, Roy Slack. Welcome, Rory Bamford. Welcome to all the audience that is enjoying our heavy industry insight on the Crownsmen Show. Roy, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
You got a little double collar thing going on, I noticed. Very Steve Bannon. Just need you need those 3 pens in the thing.
Yeah, thanks for noticing.
Wow. Little edge today. Okay. I'll switch over to Rory. Rory, how's it going, man?
It's been quite the week. Dennis and I have I don't know if we've ever had this many meetings.
Yeah, I saw your guys' calendar. That's cool.
Doesn't actually make sense.
You said you were going to hand some meetings over to me. I just ignored it. I was like,
I've been trying. I've been trying when I can, but
I'll go through
it's hard because I can plug people in between 9:30 and 10, or in between 9:30 and 10:30, just back to back to back. Dennis goes like 6 back to back to back to back to back. So, I mean, why not?
So he's a wild boy.
He's living the dream.
Lenny's getting bigger.
Thank you for noticing, Lenny. Lenny has grown up.
Yeah, for sure.
Lenny's grown up and out.
Yeah,
he's come out of the TUD, and he is watching you guys closely.
Honestly, Roy, I'm thirsty today. Can you say what we're drinking so that I can drink it?
I can, and so let me explain first of all that there has been a method to our madness when it comes to beer on this show. And I remember a brewer telling me, if you're used to lager, okay, you want to try something new. If you're going to go dark, maybe go with dark lager, stout, porter, imperial stout. Right? You go one step at a time. And the other way, if you're going lighter, like if you're into wheat beers and you want to try a Pilsner or maybe an IPA, we are at the stage now, we're at a double IPA. It's been extra hopped. It's a stronger beer. I think this is 8.8%. And this one is the highest bitterness we've tried. It's an 88 IBU.
I've had wines that strong or that light, but that's
8.8. A double IPA. Well, ironically, that's the same rating I'm going to give it.
So the other thing about this, so a little bit of background, Sawdust City, their core beer is Lone Pine. And Lone Pine, it's kind of an iconic picture of the Muskokas with the pine tree in the wind. And anyway, but there's another background story here because the movie Back to the Future, and I don't know if you remember that movie at all, but they're at the Twin Pine Mall when they go back to when they go to the past, and he runs over a tree at the Twin Pine Mall. And when he goes back to the future, it's the Lone Pine Mall. Anyway, I digress. This is a strong, bitter IPA, and I'm interested to get your feedback.
I'm very excited to drink.
I meant to tell you to brace for impact.
Cheers. Sorry, you guys aren't poured yet. Rory's drinking tea. He's not even drinking today. Rory,
yeah, I can't. I got to fight whatever this is off.
Rory's got a disease.
I have.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You're coasting with nothing on the coaster.
Cheers.
Cheers, gents. I've got very strong brew in here. Thanks, Petro Canada, for the awesome cup.
And thank you, Cranky Old Men Drinking Beer, for lining our purses.
I got some good news today yesterday, actually, from my accountant who was doing the taxes.
Why do I think this is bad news for us?
No, he said that what we're paying Crownsmen is all deductible.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
So we just have to find some revenue now.
Right. You're in a bit of a hole.
It's wild.
I think it's over $250,000 already. So thankfully it's Canadian. That's a benefit. We didn't.
We gave you a deal there.
Mm-hmm. Even though you are very close to the border, but
Let's talk about our heavy industry world tour brought to you by Savannah Equipment. Find, market, and sell surplus and used equipment. We are heading to events across North America and Australia and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsmen.com to be part of Crownsmen's heavy industry world tour. Join us in the depths of the mining world, where global leaders and industry giants converge to shape the future of mining. From groundbreaking technologies, advanced machinery, revolutionary safety measures, to sustainable initiatives. This is the voice of mining. This is Mining Now. Showcase your company to millions worldwide. Book your episode now. Visit crownsmen.com.
By the way, my big kick thing is I've been trying to eliminate plastic out of my life, and I realized these cans have plastic in them. So,
yes, they do.
Because I don't know if you know this, Roy. Rory does this too, by the way. I'm not the only one, but I get these obsessions that I go down for like a month, and so I swapped out. So I realized just in coffee, there's about 10 touch points where plastic before the coffee actually gets drank out of the cup. So I went and did reverse osmosis, stainless steel water storage, stainless steel drain into a glass container. I did, say no to plastic. I did stainless steel stir sticks, the whole deal. Went and bought this really expensive coffee, the whole deal. I spent probably a week getting this all prepared. Coffee tastes exactly the same.
Well, obviously. Thankfully, Nespresso pods are aluminum. So.
Yeah.
We just grind the beans.
I wanted it so badly.
French press?
Yeah.
I guess there's some plastic in a French press, eh?
Absolutely.
You can get them without any plastic. You can.
Probably all. Yeah,
hey, Jerrod, who's the biggest silicone miner in the world? Because it's coming from quartz. Is it all coming from Europe? Do you know this yet? Let's find out.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Where is all the silicone mined?
Silicone mine? Is that plastic surgery? What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Well, because it comes from quartz. Like that's what's weird is like the high grade silicone, whatever, is like the.
Because silicone,
use it.
Yeah, because silicone doesn't shed, Roy, like other plastics.
Yeah.
But if you really go down this rabbit trail, you'll see things will say silicone, but then it's not actual silicone. So what's
the difference? What are you looking for? I can't even remember now.
One's has in brackets what it's actually made of, which is just a plastic that feels like silicone. It's not silicone.
It's one of them is the oil version. The other one is like the byproduct from quartz. You can apparently it's as easy as picking up sand.
So what's plastic made of?
Plastic's made of oil products,
like oil byproducts, right?
Basically, yeah. I mean, I don't know the
it's a chemical process.
But even cans have it lined in there.
Did you know cementitious binders can be responsible for up to 70% of the total GHG footprint of mine backfilling processes? Now you can replace up to 50% of the binder in your mine backfill operations with Graybond, Graymond's new low-carbon cementitious binder. This lime-based alternative binder maintains a 40 to 70% lower GHG footprint compared to typical cement and can adapt to varying mine conditions without compromising performance. Learn more about Graybond at graybond.com. Attention builders, we've got everything you need to know about the grit and grind of the construction world in one show. The Construction Show is where you can share your expert techniques and strategies to help keep the crew strong and construction sites secure. From foundational tips, industry trends, safety strategies to advanced equipment and machinery. Be part of the voice of construction. Book your episode and showcase your company to millions worldwide. Visit crownsmen.com.
Anyway, I'm not just bringing this up randomly. The reason I was actually bringing it up, because I wanted to talk about it, and two, is because the rabbit trail that I went down, I would say probably 70% of that research was done on YouTube, which leads me to the big announcement that YouTube is now on TV. This is not even on phones. This is on people watching on TV, is beating everyone. They're the top viewed platform on TVs that sit in people's homes. How crazy is that? They have almost 12% of the eyeballs.
USA?
Totally. I don't know if it's USA. It's out of a Nielsen report that was from March. 11% 96%. Just
Oh, so that's really recent too. Okay, so
yeah,
you're beating out.
That's this year.
And is this Netflix like the? Because I don't. Well, I'll tell you what I watch on Netflix is if you see Janis Joplin at Monterey Pop, or you see Prince playing While My Guitar Gently Weeps at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's it.
I go watch those things on YouTube, and I think they're great. But I don't really watch TV shows on it. But I guess there's
Rory,
lots of content.
I watch the podcasts. I watch all the podcasts and like Kill Tony and that.
Yeah, but Rory, when you're watching that, are you watching it on a TV or on a computer?
Usually on a TV.
Yeah. Okay. So that counts.
Yep.
So if it's on, it's not. This is not if you're watching it on a laptop or your phone.
No. I mean, it's great on a big screen.
Yeah.
To watch one of those classic rock concerts or.
Well, have you ever so Roy, like that's what I'll do. Like if I want to go watch like an old Metallica concert, I want to watch it on TV because I have my surround sound. Plus I get the great graphic. It's phenomenal. Yeah. What was that Notorious festival too? If you can go watch that where like it just like basically like burned it to the ground. Oh, what was that? Woodstock, like the new Woodstock version.
Oh,
do you remember hearing about that?
Yeah,
like Ja Rule and that? Was that whole crew?
Well, if you go back, I mean, I'm not sure which one. Like Altamont was when the Stones hired Hell's Angels.
Oh boy,
for security, and there were some fans that were killed. But I think you're talking about there was one of the later versions of Woodstock where there was a lot of, I don't know if you call it vandalism, destruction, whatever.
Wow. Couldn't see. Gowdy, could you bring that back up? So anyway, just to circle back to what you were saying though, Roy, this is beating Netflix. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and Disney Plus, and every person with a kid I think has Disney Plus.
It's crazy. It's
me
crazy.
Included now. That's a wild
Every
number.
person with a what?
With a kid has Disney Plus, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then this is the next part that's really interesting too is the age demographic. The age demographic for 65 and up, Roy, they don't go into the next, like, it's just 65 and up. That's up
fine.
96%. It's up 96%. 50 to 64,
people
62%.
that old are watching YouTube?
Year over year, probably, right, Jerrod? Oh, yeah, it is year over year.
February
2023.
Verse 2023. That's a crazy number. That is, like, it's huge.
So what do you guys watch? I mean, Rory, you said you watch podcasts on YouTube. I mean, Jerrod watches 3 hours of Kill Tony at a time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll watch. I mean, for me, it's mostly it's mainly like it'll be Kill Tony.
Yeah,
I'll be watching Tim Dillon, different podcasts like that.
But I watch on my computer. Do you watch that on your home TV? Yeah.
I watch it all on my TV.
Oh, okay. I
put it on, so if I'm doing whatever I'm doing, if I'm cleaning up, I have it going. It's great.
But it's this thing that like we go out obviously and champion this thing, and people, I mean, we don't run into it now, but people used to kind of almost think we were crazy for doing these long form, technical discussions. I was going through, like, again, going back to all this water research. There's a guy, he's called the water filter guru, and he goes and tests all these filters. Like he takes them he sends the water off to a lab, brings back the tests, brings up the charts, compares it against other filters. So like by the time you're done, okay, yeah, it's $50 more, but it's this much better, or this one's $200 more, but it's actually not even the same, or it doesn't even do the same thing. Like you can actually figure it all out. He's putting all of that on YouTube. He's got some of his videos have almost 1 million views.
But it raises an interesting point, Jerrod, because as an entrepreneur,
water looks clear, it might not be as healthy as you think. If you're worried about the quality of your...
That's the guy.
That's him.
That's him.
Yeah, he's a little bit rude, but obviously an expert. But the point I was going to make is, there are a couple ways you can break into the market. You can break into the market as a generalizer, but more and more, if you're an expert and a specialist in a very small area, you can reach out through a platform like YouTube, and people that are interested in that particular item, you can get them from all over the world watching. Where it's, it used to be entrepreneurs would focus on their local market and then grow.
Yeah.
But it's a different game now.
Jerrod and I were just talking about like how, I mean, most of our business is like, well, it's global, but I mean, it's a lot in the Americas. Like, USA is definitely number one for like content creation. But it's funny how like few people actually, like even in our backyard, basically, it takes a long time. We have the West Coast Business Show, so that's been our longest running localized show. Yeah. But yeah, it's without that global phenomenon has been it's been phenomenal for us. Like obviously Australia, Canada, USA, those markets are just, and even a little bit into Europe at times, but.
Well, and the topics.
A phenomenal phenomenon is not that.
I like how Rory tried to get out of it, but he was already too deep. Phenomenal phenomenon.
Did I just say that?
Yeah. That's what you're trying to say. You kind of.
No, I can't let stuff like that go by, Rory.
I wanted to pull up, like I was trying to find out on our show how many people, like a lot of people are watching on the TV too. Like it's crazy. The engagement is high.
Do you have
really
the number?
Interesting.
Did you track down the number?
I'm gonna pull one up for the cementation episode. I'm gonna try and find it.
Well, and while you're doing that, like I was just kind of going through to look at some of what our top videos are, and you've got like Dorado. They're talking about like certification for drill maintenance on the show. I mean, not this unbelievably riveting talking point. Huge engagement. The amount of time people watch for. Then we had Pedrolo. They're talking about this. What was that thing? This pressurized water system with an inverter, like really technical. Then you've got ABB talking about arc flash mitigation. Very specific topics.
Are you able to, like for the cementation show, for example, are you able to tell how many people from cementation are watching it? I always get the feeling that there's a fair bit of internal viewership as well as external, and that's great. I mean, if you want your people to understand more about your product, about your values, about your vision, it's to go and watch a Mining Now or Energy Now or one of those shows. Your people can learn about your company too.
Yeah, you could see it. If someone opens the email when we send out a mass email, we can see that someone's opened it and even clicked. We can't. YouTube doesn't tell us like, oh, Joe from Wisconsin wants this.
It's too granular. Yeah.
So in the cementation episode number 300 on Mining Now, by the way.
Nice.
Yes. 43% of viewers watching on the TV, 27.2 on the mobile phone, tablet 13.1, computer 6%, other 10%. So it's all TV, mobile phones, and tablets. But TV,
I do watch some stuff on my phone.
Yeah.
I'll
put stuff on the phone.
Depending on where it's just so convenient.
Well, this is what's crazy though, Roy. Is this when Nielsen is saying, "Oh, you're number one here," they're not even counting all the other, like actually in the streaming world on mobile devices.
Yeah.
Like this is an insane number.
It's just TVs.
Like it's just TVs. Yep.
That's why you're going to see sports team, like you're going to see like the sport networks. They're going to want to go over there, and I mean it's going to like Netflix.
They already are.
They
YouTube's already buying up rights.
If I miss a game, I can go and get the 15-minute highlight reel.
Yeah.
On YouTube, and I mean. You can watch the whole game. You can watch
30-minute baseball games like Jays. You can watch a 30-minute highlight reel, and it's great.
I like to watch the whole game, but sometimes it isn't on, or you're in a blackout area, and you can go watch the highlights.
Well, and you can literally chase. You can literally chase your own like whims. You can just be like, "Oh, I feel like watching basketball highlights. Okay, I actually want to like learn about how to do a negotiation." Like you can just like switch your stream of consciousness like instantly. It's unbelievable.
If you can Google it, you can watch it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, really, you can plug in exactly what you want to watch. Like I was up at the cottage and the generator had shut down. We have a generator for when the power goes out. So I just Googled what's the process for resetting your generator? A couple of YouTube videos come up with a guy talking about exactly the model that I have and the process. I have my phone there. I'm at the generator. In 5 minutes, I've reset the generator. I don't have to bring, someone in to do it.
Yeah.
Well, and you can avoid being scammed. Like when I was doing, I almost ordered filters that were just scams. And I saw the video and the testing and I went, "Oh, it's not real. It's nonsense." So it saved me. I mean, now I did lose about 6 days of work. But
that's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't have to do that many days for making sure
I didn't buy the wrong $200 filter.
I understand why you never answered my messages.
What message?
That's a good segue into prioritization.
Okay, Roy, well, let's segue in. What's your topic for the day?
Well, mine isn't prioritization, by the way, but I had two things. I have some concerns about what's happening in the mining industry or industry in general, and it has to do with deregulation. So we've talked before about process and permitting and how onerous it is. And I've always been a big advocate of streamlining that, but I've never wanted to eliminate it. And there's some things happening now where in terms of safety, in terms of permitting, we're in some of the industries we're in, we're going to become self-regulating. What I mean by that is the departments and the processes won't be there anymore to keep us on the straight and narrow. So it's opportunity because it can mean you can move a project forward faster, but at the same time, there's, without the accountability there's, a different approach and you have to be, I don't know if there's such a word as self-accountable, but, can our industries be self-regulating? Some industries are, like the medical industry is, professional engineers. There are self-regulating industries, but we're heading down that road. There's opportunities with that, but there's risks too.
When you say medical and that self-regulating, because there's like basically is there like a body of doctors overseeing like practices? I don't actually know. Okay, so
there's a licensure administration or group, to get your license to practice, you have to adhere to certain principles, and you can be brought up to the board for malpractice for different things.
Right.
Same for professional engineers.
In mining,
you're given a license, a P-Eng license, but if you violate certain things, it can be taken away.
In mining, could there be, because I guess the regulatory body is all through government, right? Are they saying that maybe they could do it similar where you have people within the mining, like basically have like be that governing body in a sense?
Yeah, in a sense, like you're right, different jurisdictions have different legislation, regulations, right? But there are groups like Mining Association of Canada has developed their TSM towards sustainable mining initiative, which is a self-governing, it's a series of things where you can check yourself to see if your operations are meeting that standard. So it's a standard or a guideline,
but not an accountability metric though. There's not a review process if you don't meet those guidelines.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Roy, actually,
it's self-reporting. The thing is, it's self-reporting. So there isn't an independent body saying that your group did the right thing.
Right.
You're filing a report saying, yes, you followed these things and you've met the standard.
But in medical, there's actually a governing body. So if all of a sudden they've got like a spike in like, say, deaths because of like a certain surgery, somebody's going to be answering for what's going on with this practice.
Yeah. There's also requirements for professional development.
Yes.
So you have to continue learning over time because things change so quickly in the medical field, the engineering field, anywhere where there's technical knowledge required, things are changing quickly. So
because actually, this is a bit of a tangent, but because I've actually never thought of that on like the medical side. Like there was a doctor that set up basically this clinic so he's billing like, I think this is in Ontario, so he's billing over $2 million in insurance, and he's giving out fentanyl prescriptions, which the people that take the clients or the patients are taking those to trade for harder drugs. So CBC was doing an investigation into him. And they look and go, your billing practices are 10 times the average. The average in Ontario was like $250. So he's just like, and you see the picture of his practice. It's like in like this bad neighborhood, and he's just it's not a real practice, obviously. So
a big F over the door.
Yeah. And so in mining though, it goes into like the government practices where I wonder if there would be a model in the sense for having an independent.
But Roy,
the International Council of Metals and Minerals has certain guidelines that they propose, but they're not legislated in a lot of places. So it's the self-regulating industry.
Sorry, Rory, I wanted to clarify where you started it, because it feels like it's a little different to where we are. Are you saying that you support, or are you just having the conversation? Are you saying you think there should be some sort of independent regulatory body, or that it should be government regulated? Just to set it up quickly, like if you see like that doctor in, I guess he said it in Ontario, I
can't remember the location, but anyway,
who's helping people with their fentanyl needs.
Yes.
Well, it's all perspective, but anyway, if you have someone like that, he could get charged, but then you'll see that in like the news headlines, they'll also lose their license, and those are two separate things. Like you could technically get charged and not lose your license. The governing body the government doesn't force you to do that. So I don't think. Are you saying that is a good direction? Because if, let's say, a mine did something that was illegal, then they could get charged for it. But if they're malpractice, they could lose license, right?
Let me give you an example. In Canada, the provinces and the federal government, there are things you have to do to meet permitting requirements. Mm-hmm. So it's redundant in a way. So to streamline that, so let's say you say only the provinces will manage it. That's great. You've eliminated one step, but you still have regulations in place.
Yeah.
Okay? So that I support. A more efficient process.
Just one process, not provincial plus federal.
Not redundant processes.
You would support one like provincial process based on a set of guidelines.
But if you take all the processes away, that's where my concern lies.
But could
USA, does it fall to states, do you think? Do you know about that, Roy? Is it state or federal, or is it both again?
The U.S. has federal organizations with regard to safety. For example, NIOSH, National Instrument of Occupational Safety and Health Institute, and OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Association, I think. And I think NIOSH is done. People have been laid off. Okay. I'm not sure what's happening with OSHA. There's a bill on the table now to repeal the Occupational Health and Safety Act. So basically removing those restrictions to allow industry to move forward. If you remove the redundancy, that's one thing. If you remove all the legislation, that's another enemy. So there's a happy medium there. Did I get that? Did I explain that, Jerrod?
No. I'm just trying to sort of think through it.
I was just because, of course, we solve problems on this show.
We've changed government policy before the show even goes live.
Amen.
Unbelievable. Amen to that.
So,
let's go.
If you had an independent organization, obviously you'd have to have some funding set up through this, which obviously you've got these mines. In a way, it would be better if let's say the government body or government bodies. So right now you're saying, Roy, and let's use Canada because we're here. So it'd be better if there's just a permitting process in BC. Are you thinking like if say you had a group like using the medical industry, because that's a good example of like those, like an independent group regulating the approval processes, sure, the government could oversee it, but it would probably make it quicker if those people from different aspects of the mines could oversee those different aspects, but they're independent. But then, of course, there's going to be like conflicts of interest that arise when they come from different companies and that. But it does seem like using that where like you have doctors regulating doctors and nurses regulating nurses could be a setup that would actually streamline, because they would know the best practices, or they should.
Yeah, one of the challenges is we as a company will bring in a third party to evaluate our business.
Mm-hmm.
So a third party sounds good, but third parties aren't independent because we're paying them. Mm-hmm. So how do you set up an independent review? There are certain jurisdictions, I believe it's Ontario, that has TSSA. And what they're an independent group that evaluates your electrical, certain safety standards.
Mm.
And they're organized, I think. I'm not quite sure how they're organized, to be honest, whether they're private or not, but they're not beholden to anyone. It's not a group where they're waiting for you to pay them type thing.
Oh, okay.
So it's an interesting setup. And I'm not sure if it's unique or not, but it might be a model that would work in certain jurisdictions. Anyway, it's that was one of my topics today. So I'll leave you with that, Jerrod.
So we solved that. That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like we 100% solved this for Canada and for the United States of America.
Yeah, good job, everybody.
We might need another.
It's complicated.
I feel much safer now.
Yeah.
Well, it's just what you're saying. Like even like that one step removing. I'm like, Canada's never going to remove the federal approval process. I mean, never's a long time.
Well, no, because they want to control like if we're a green country, they want to shut down certain things.
No, but even resource extraction, they're not going to federally. They're not going to not approve.
It's not that simple because the provinces oversee mining regulation.
Yeah,
but federal government oversees engagement with indigenous groups.
Yeah.
So, like, there's no simple solution because
the provinces do too.
All of this is intertwined. Yeah.
The provinces on the indigenous side, I think the provinces, well, BC, I think does as well. So it's like, is it, doubling up almost.
Anyway, are we getting into politics again? Jeez,
we're getting into the
policy
last
show.
Policy
we're getting
is
into
different
the pine
than politics,
trees, Roy.
Okay, we're into.
We're trying to
can't
solve
see
regulations.
Can't see the forest for the woods.
What did you, Rory? Did you have another? Did you have two? Did you bring two topics?
Oh, nice.
I was. I mean, Lanny's on steroids. I guess I am too. I was looking at strategy. Because I was reading a book on it that was interesting. And for entrepreneurs, here's my theory. I think your first business plan is actually a strategy. It's not really a business plan. And when your company grows, your future strategies, they're just a business plan. They're not a look at how we're going to change the market, how we're going to change the industry. And the book I'm reading talks all about strategy as change management, which is an interesting view. And whether you're going to change your market, whether the strategy is going to change how you're going to approach or service the market. But change management's a different mentality on its own to go into a strategy session with.
We need Gus Minor in here for change management.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, what's the definition of change management? That's like if you're going to do more on safety, or you're going to do more on, I don't know, different aspects of a business.
I was going to say, Roy, when you first make your business plan, when you first start, you could also call that a Lenny.
No.
Well,
it's important. It really is.
Jerrod and I did. Jerrod, you and I did a business plan.
I would caution people not, if you think you don't need to do a business plan because it's all going to change.
Yeah.
That's the absolute wrong attitude because.
Well, writing those things down is so important because obviously it's not going to be it's not even going to be relevant in 5 years once you start, but you want to at least formulate some of those thoughts.
Yeah, when you look back 5 years, it's actually embarrassing. I would never show anyone the initial business plan for cementation.
Well, what's funny though is we actually have it on the screen, Roy. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God. Anyway,
Jerrod and I were just looking at that, like talking about because that's kind of like 5 years coming up, like that we changed from trying to use a podcast as entry to sell people Facebook ads to just this is probably a standalone thing.
It's a product on its own. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it takes our experience in those other things like promotion and good content. So it is interesting. Like that 5-year thing, like now Jerrod and I were just recently talking about is like the organization, like every part of the business that you can organize more, even like with how we're doing our producers set up for the upcoming CIM show and the upcoming Houston show at OTC. Even that is getting more organized. And those steps, you go, how weren't we doing that before? But you didn't know. You just we didn't have Gowdy was producing, editing, launching ads, I think. And now it's like you get this team that is doing like the promotion and the marketing and the editing.
I think the second day Gowdy worked for us, we left.
Yeah.
We gave this whole like song and dance about like why she should join this like unbelievably company.
I felt scammed.
We met in a coffee shop and like probably had some charts somewhere.
Gowdy, next time they throw that stuff at you, give me a call.
Yeah. Now I know. Lesson learned.
She came to the office, which was a home office, and we were like, bye, we got to go to Alberta.
Yeah. I literally walked in and they were walking out with bags and I was like, what? He was like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Alberta, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
And sold nothing, by the way.
That was my first day.
Zero.
On the job.
I think we had a trip booked to Vegas, and this was our second one because we went to Mine Expo in 2016 and sold zero.
Yeah, but we got a great picture standing beside a truck. I'm not just being contrarian. I promise I'm not. I am. What if the business plan is going to change, though? It does take a lot of time. Is there not? Because I don't want to sound like you should just not do something, and because you're going to have to spend time on your business. Is there not possibly a better alternative to your time than writing out a business plan that is inevitably going to change? I know there's this thing. If a bad plan is better than no plan. So that would be a good argument for it. But is there not an alternative? Because sometimes I do feel like if I was to do it again, I would not spend. I mean, Rory and I spent weeks. But
Jerrod, we should have spent time on like even like the financials, going like how much cash are we going to burn? How much cash don't we have? Because we should have had that. We should have had that documented down. We would have started writing it out and going, wait, why are we trying to get like 6 or 8 people when we only have 1 or 2 clients?
Well, that's because you two are in it for the money. That's not why I do this.
Yeah, it's you're in it for the passion and the heart.
Yeah, for the love of the game.
I'm with you, Jerrod.
I'm not with you, Jerrod. But anyway, but I think that's right. From what you're saying, that is what you want to write down. Like, okay, the next 6 months, how much is it going to cost, like, Jerrod and I to pay a mortgage, eat food, that kind of thing. And, like, how do we, like, what is our sales approach? Things like that we just basically jumped into.
Okay, I'm going to ask it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
If you couldn't write a business plan for whatever reason, what would you spend your time doing? Again, I promise I'm not just being contrarian.
Roy, do you want to go first? Because that's a good question.
And I guess it depends on the type of business, but I would say networking. We talked about networking one of the shows, but I consulted on my own for 2 years, and my success wasn't due to my knowledge. It was due to my network. Simple as that. Anyone that's thinking about going out on their own and doing consulting, you better have a strong network. You can be the smartest person in the world, but if you're cold calling, that's a tough row to hoe. But I would say look at your network, look at what people and what projects you feel you actually have a shot at, and then focus on those.
Yeah.
Hey, we're into prioritizing now.
There we go. It comes back around.
All around.
I 100% agree with you. So that's what if I was to start again, especially after you just saying that, I would not write a business plan first. I would ditch Gowdy, jump in the car with Rory, and I would just go to one of these events and just ask.
I was going to say I'd go around to like the market of like say we thought the heavy industry market. I would start by, trying to find events that are geared towards those industries. So the networking approach, because it's hard to go door knocking when people are literally working and you're like, hey, can I sell you a thing? But I want to go to those events, be like, what do you need? Like, where do you see like opportunities for reaching new clients, things like that?
Rory, we built that whole plan and then we went to the market and the market told us different things. If we had spent that time before we wrote that plan, it would have been a different plan.
Yeah, because we wrote out piles and piles and piles of documentation on how this can help and on and on and on.
Yeah. See, I would keep Gowdy, and I would put Jerrod on notice.
No, I didn't say keep Gowdy. I said ditch Gowdy, not ditch her from the company. God. No, just like we did.
To ditch CIM.
No.
What did you hear, Gowdy? I misheard that.
This is what I have to deal with on a regular basis.
Yeah, I feel for you.
But sorry, Rory, you were saying something insightful, and I don't want to miss it because it doesn't happen every. No, I'm kidding. Rude. That was rude. I apologize for that. I would track that. I'm okay with making age jokes. I'm not okay with insulting your intelligence.
Yeah. Anyway, I missed that. I didn't hear it properly.
I missed the. Oh, Roy.
That's right. It was probably my one bad ear.
Jerrod was cutting out. It's okay.
You were saying something before it went down a tangent. If you were doing it, you would keep Gowdy, and then I threw it all off the rails.
I would put you on notice. No.
2 weeks.
I've been trying to do that forever.
Bring in 5 new clients, Jerrod, or you're down the road. Yeah. No, but it's a good point. But I think that network, that those targets, your potential market is part of your business plan. But like what Rory said, I think most of the major failures in business are due to cash, right?
Yeah.
Always,
companies that, like, human nature is we're over optimistic. And we look at starting a company, building a product, and we're spending money. And then the next thing you know, we don't have the revenue we thought. And then we're talking to the bank. We're in a vulnerable position. We talked about that before with juniors.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is really the important part of the business plan, is to understand the cash and just how much things cost. Because we underestimate all the time. We all do.
You know what it is? I just thought of this too, is that very insightful, by the way, get ready, is we are used to, if we put money into something, we're going to get something back. In business, nope. You can put your money in and get zero.
Yeah.
It's a giant
do we have a graph of revenue versus gift baskets that we can put up on the screen?
You can't keep doing that. Oh, man. I mean, you
but
can.
I'm about to make one.
You can.
Okay.
The Office episode 2.
I'm not even kidding.
I can't even believe
I
it.
just had a call, and someone said, "You know The Office, but this was a current strategy."
No.
I went, "Well, so we can probably help you." It was great. It's actually a great company, but he was having some fun with it. But I was like, "Oh yeah, all right." So I didn't bring up the
Jerrod,
story.
He was using it as he was talking about The Office as a strategy for what?
Gifting. Yeah.
Like he wanted us to gift him something?
No, like as in they do that right now. I'm trying to be polite.
Oh,
They do.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's... Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's a great strategy.
It's like drugs, Jerrod. Just say no.
All right, Nancy.
Okay. I was impressed that you had the Nancy reference there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know my politics better than I know my music.
Yeah. Yeah, I recognize that.
I care about the important
Jerrod's
things.
YouTube search. It's atrocious.
A lot of orangutan. Well, if you watch Bill Maher and know why Bill Maher gets sued, if you follow that stream, you'll know what I'm saying.
No, okay.
Every which way but loose.
Rory, what's on your soul today? You've got a beautiful Lenny in the back. Do we get to see what's in the barrel yet?
The barrel's sitting there. The barrel's sitting there. Oh, I wanted to talk about...
That's a traditional
Curious.
gift. That's a traditional gift that I brought for you from the Philippines.
I know. It's a beautiful gift. I love it. I also have another gift up there. You probably can't really see. Oh, maybe wait.
We all know what's in the barrel, Jerrod. It's not as big a mystery as you think.
I want to know.
The fun part is finding someone who doesn't.
I was going to say something. I'm not going to say it. All right. It's too good.
I wanted to tie it all back to Roy's beer. I've been reading I'm gonna forget Collapse, I think it's a book. You'll have to fact check me on that one. And it was talking about it's a lot talking about like how people don't manage like forestry being a big one. And I was looking at, because of like the pine tree beer that we're totally drinking. And just like the cost of like the pine beetle devastation in BC, and I was pulling up like it's an older report, but in 2001, BC had committed $917 million to battle the beetle and mitigate future impacts, and obviously, it's had great impacts on like the forest fires. It's had there's just been it's really been a disaster in the forestry, and it is crazy because you've seen like the impacts, and in the book it talks about where they've done clear cuts and it changes the weather. So then you have like erosion happening into the rivers, you have landslides happening. And it's interesting because like through like Cache Creek and Ashcroft, that area that got devastated after the fires went through and took out all like the surrounding vegetation, then you have massive floods, you have massive landslides, loss of life from it. Mm-hmm. And this is all because, I mean, in that case, there was not enough time to like do reforestation or anything. But it just obviously mentioning, I don't know if that's been an issue out in Ontario as well, but here when people talk
that's
about
an invasive species?
The pine beetle is, yeah. It's from Asia, I believe.
Have you not heard of this, Rory?
Out.
I have. I wasn't sure if it was
these
beautiful phenomenon, or an invasive species.
And it just goes through and wipes out everything.
Well, you used to draw. There's all these like beautiful mountain ranges with all this forest, and now you drive past them and they're all brown. Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's native? Oh, actually saying. Oh no, wait. I think it came from. I actually think it came from northern Mexico.
Ooh, there it is. Look at that cute little guy.
Oh, so cute. But yeah, it's just one of those things like that. This book, it was talking about that, and it's just seeing that impact. I don't really know how. I was kind of got me thinking of like the whole forestry sector. We don't cover that a lot on the heavy industry series, but I have looked into a bit on like the investing side. And it is interesting because when you talk about like Australia, when they got in there and when they like, obviously it changed from like being a criminal colony to like people were like inhabiting it. They're like, look at all these vast forests and so much fish. Well, they went through and just started logging it, fishing it, but they didn't realize, they had no idea that took hundreds or thousands of years to develop. So I don't think clear cuts are that common anymore in like British Columbia, but it is crazy that it can severely impact and you cannibalize that industry if it's not managed properly. And then obviously you get into the argument with like governments overregulating it and making it too difficult because we obviously need lumber in that. But it's, it can tie back into like what we're talking about with the business, like with the cash, with industries like that, like mining, of course, and forestry, you see the absolute devastation from something like this that just turned into it. I don't think anybody knew how bad the impact was. I can't even remember when it originated, but yeah, like Jerrod said, you go through these forests and they're just wiped out. They're completely wiped out from the devastation, and then that has all the impacts afterwards. So the planning for that, and obviously even what is that? 1996. Okay. Hot, dry summers. Interesting.
I was going to say on this episode, it's so far we've said we should cut out plastic, add more regulations to mining, and stop the forestry. So we are the voice of industry. So when government comes out with all their new policies tomorrow, you have us to thank.
We're doing. But anyway, that was kind of my tangent on the forestry. That's a complicated area though, but obviously like Canada, we have an abundance of these vast forests, and but it's one of those things. I don't know a lot about it, but I think probably on a whole it's managed. You see like the new growth forests, but then of course those ones, I've looked at other research. So interestingly, if you build houses with the newer timber, it's not as dense. Therefore, it's more prone to rot, to instability. So it does that long-term impact. Like you've seen people saying, "Oh, we should make timber buildings again." But if you're taking out a whole bunch of the old growth that takes hundreds and thousands of years for those to mature and grow, you can be having the impact can be a long ways down the line that you don't actually see today.
Rory, I've got a question for you. I know we joke about the age thing and that. I get it, but this is actually not a joke. I'm wondering, when you let's say when you were 25, like these conversations, was it? Rory made a comment that people when they were when they started logging Australia, they didn't realize. Did they realize? Do you think people realized the impact they were having and just didn't care? Or do you think it's just they weren't held accountable? What do you think I'm talking about the culture of it was? Like for me right now, if someone said to me, "Hey, I'll give you $1 trillion, but you can wipe out, Canada's forestry," I'd go, "I'm good. I'll make my money some other way." I wouldn't be interested in it.
Yeah. There was so at that time, yes, there was certainly a focus on environmental. This isn't something that's new. We've been talking about it. That's one of the sad things about it, is we've been talking about it for 50 years, and we've kind of gone full circle. Where the scientists, and I remember I saw a presentation Al Gore made, and when the whole presentation about an inconvenient truth, and I'll tell you, he was just as a presenter, it was a phenomenal presentation. and very convincing. And
well, he had lots of practice because he could get from point A to point B on his private jet.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about all that. I saw the presentation. I was impressed. So it's not new.
Yeah.
It's not new. But people had choices. People still have choices now.
Oh wow.
People still have choices now, and back then there were choices too. And I've said it before. The focus should be a win-win. Like if you're in a company and you're reporting to shareholders, there's certain things they expect, but you can do that by still being conscious of the environment and doing things that are right for the community and right for the environment. And that sounds like it sounds idealistic, but it's not. I mean, you can figure out how to do this and
actually
have a win-win. Yeah.
Going back, like Chevron actually realized this because they had a massive oil discovery, and I think it was around. Oh, I can't. It might have been. It was in one of the neighboring countries to Australia, but they realized that if they had really, really stringent environmental regulations, like at the site, it actually helped them improve their operations. They had everything down, like it was like fully monitored. The roadways were like a certain length, so they didn't disrupt the habitat.
Yeah.
Because they knew the environmental impact, if there was like a massive spill, was going to be so much worse. They were never going to be able to go into that again. So they went almost the extreme. So this guy that was there just doing research, taking pictures, like, oh, that species of whatever animal it was here. They're like, so you've had like this many violations in your first day. You've stepped off the roadway. You've like been in like danger of like getting hit by a vehicle coming down the road. So they were so stringent on it because they knew that if they could keep everybody safe, keep the environment safe, they could still make a pile of money with the resources, but they would also be extreme on the management of like basically, I think it was a jungle area. I just can't remember the exact country name. So, it is an interesting concept because they probably can go hand in hand, but you probably still obviously can make huge profit for the shareholders at the same time.
I think one of the issues is even Gowdy was just bringing up that the inconvenient an inconvenient truth.
Yeah.
And, we're in the production side. So I'm seeing the way that they're filming, the way that they're showing a city at a certain time of day so it looks horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And when what happens is once people learn that, once you start to doubt a truth, this idea you can't kill an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start to doubt the truth, then you start to challenge everything about it. So I'm looking at this thing, I see it, I can see that it's dated because at that time you couldn't, I'm seeing, they put that blue haze over the power lines. It's power lines. Why are you putting a blue haze over it? And what it does is it makes us doubt it. And now you get platforms like YouTube where people could just go look stuff up.
Yep.
And that algorithm now, and to circle back to my water filters, there's a ton of them that are just nonsense. They're paid. They're following the same script, and so it's hard to tell what's true and what's not. It's very difficult.
Right.
But that actually creates a cloak for people who are bad behavior. You see that with trials when they go after, you saw that you're going on a big thing, something like a Me Too movement where you get this huge issue, and then pretty soon it gets so messy that you don't even know what's true anymore. And pretty soon you're Matt Damon's getting canceled for saying we need due process, but the guy who's actually doing perpetrating the crimes is still getting away with it because he's not going out there and saying anything. He's just hiding in his closet, And so it's the same thing that happens with the environmental stuff is that if you're not precise and honest, then people start to doubt it and challenge it. And now you get that overcorrection the other way. We're saying we're just going to deregulate everything, which is not good for anybody. Like that, it'll destroy. I mean, go tour the Philippines and see what mining has done in that country. It's a real problem.
Yeah, and what you're saying, Jerrod, is the other issue in countries that are well developed, we start talking about environmental regulations, and in countries that are just developing the resources, they're saying, well, you never cared about regulations when you developed your resources.
Right.
You made all the money off them. Mm-hmm. And now you are imposing your, environmental standards on us.
Right. When we're about to get there.
Yeah.
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 It's
that's another, it's I can see that happening. Gents, we should probably jump into the beer review because,
you've got a meeting, Rory.
Yes. It's a true story.
It'll be a quick beer review because you're not drinking.
No, it's really good beer.
I will actually say, Rory, I genuinely expected to hate this. This is good. I would probably buy this.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
Yeah.
It's
and I would agree. I picked this one for a reason because it's very strong. It's a double, and they say high IBU. You don't notice the reason you don't notice it all is because it's all balanced. You've got the high alcohol content, but you've high bitters, but you've got lots of fruit, lots of juice in it too. And when all is said and done, it's a nice balance. It is strong. It's full flavored, no doubt about it. But it is a very nice double. I enjoyed it.
I learned something new because, multiple things new, but I didn't even know double IPA was an actual thing.
Yeah, well, then there's Imperial, which is the next step up.
Oh,
I won't take you there.
Does that go into like the 12%ers?
10.
Oh, wow.
Half,
See, but I would go there. I hate IPAs. This is actually good because you said it's balanced. I'd buy it. What do you rate it? What do you rate it, Mr. Slack?
I've reviewed this before and I rated it a 16, and I would rate it again at that. A double is sometimes a little bit over the top, but this one is accessible, so it's so I really enjoyed it.
Nice. All right, I agree with that rating. Actually, if I was rating it for what it is, I would actually rate it higher. I'd rate it like a 17 because it's as good as I've
ever. You rated it 16, Roy?
Yeah.
Nice.
Gowdy,
thank you, cranky old men drinking beer.
Boy, it's a new code. You point, it's an extra 10%. Don't do that. We're trying to give you a deal here.
I've got my hat on the corner there, and I'm hoping that doesn't get charged.
We'll see it in post. Gowdy, if it's legible, just let us know, please.
Nice. Oh, nice.
Okay, well, thank you, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure. I felt like there was a weird energy today. I don't know what's happening. I think it's because we got two events coming up, and we're a little bit out of it. But we, yeah, well, maybe a little bit. We will see you, Roy. We're going to see you in person here in the next couple of days.
We will.
We're going to have
a rendezvous in Montreal.
Yeah, this episode will come after CIM Montreal, but we're going to be sitting down with Angela for Cranky Old Men Drinking Beer, Mining Now, Rap and Tap Special. It's the longest name in the history of show titles. It's going to be fun. So, yeah, we'll see you in a few days.